What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Food Fitness Family. It is myself, Big Daddy Blankenship, with Mr. Beautiful, Mr. GQ, always in a good mood, Mr. Sunshine, Marcus Gates.
You make me sound so pleasant.
Dude, you are. Whenever I talk to someone, they're like, I think I met Marcus the other day, and I was like, is he like small, handsome, and like
Fuck you.
the nicest person you've ever
I
met?
hate that first adjective. I'm
And
working
they're
so
like,
hard to beat that.
yeah, he was really small, and he was so nice. I'm like, that's him. Yeah.
Oh, fuck it. I guess it's better than being big and mean. I don't know.
Yeah, you could be like me and be big, mean, and
There you
just
go.
I don't know,
We do
everything.
we do balance each other.
Yeah, yeah. So today we're gonna talk about reverse dieting, how to do it, ways you could fuck it up, ways to
Mhm.
not fuck it up.
Yep.
But before we get started, I will say we got some big news. Next week we will have our very first guest on here. We're going to have Jeff and Kyle from S2 on here. So if you guys haven't heard about them, they are the owners of S2 here in KC. They do the Protein Bros podcast. So if you want to catch up, go check out their podcast. It's fantastic. I actually have an episode on there as well. And yeah, that's about it. So let's get into our 7 days. Mad tasty over there.
It's a CBD seltzer drink. Love the merchandise. The drinks are pretty decent as well.
You should
Uh,
change your nickname to that, Marcus Mad Tasty
I
Gates.
love that.
I'll
That'd
ask
be
Nicole.
great.
Yeah.
Man, I like it. I think she would like it as well. No, the last 7 days were pretty solid. Last week was kind of a slow week in terms of new client consults and things of that nature. But then, when it rains, it pours. When I have none, and then boom, this week I've got like six. So a lot on my plate, a lot to get out over the next couple of days or so. And yeah, so that's super exciting. I got one client consult on Saturday with a dude in Barcelona. So that's super exciting. I think he's an American transplant that's living over there now. So we'll see how that goes. It's kind of tough linking up that time, but we're gonna make it work. Aside from that, though, man, Chiefs won, headed to the Super Bowl. That was super awesome. Did then the 2 nights later, I went to the KU K State game, saw KU win, and found out a cool little stat, which I'm excited to tell a couple of my in-person training clients that are huge K State fans. KU has now beat K State 204 times in the history of their rivalry, essentially, which is the most times a team has beat another team in the NCAA history. So I
Jesus.
think that's pretty badass stat.
Daddy.
Yeah, and then we go to KU on Monday against Texas, which is super exciting for the battle for first place for the Big 12, and then we got the Super Bowl after that. So looking forward to it.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
How
yeah, the
about
Super Bowl
go?
is next weekend, right?
Yes, it is. We are
Good.
like 9 days away from it. Super excited.
Hell
I'll be
yeah.
Nicole and I'll be out in Vegas. I go out there for their Vegas market every couple years or so for her clothing boutique. So I'll be out there actually watching the game on Sunday. And if we happen to win, I think I'm going to miss the parade because we don't come back till Wednesday night, which is a bummer. But I'll be happy as hell if we win anyway.
Hell yeah. Yeah, dude, my 7 days, God, I don't think it was that good as yours.
It was a good
Actually,
7 days.
yeah, it was good, man. Honestly, I've just been working. I've been a little slower with client intakes. That's partially my fault because God, I just been so busy between the gym and my clients already have. They come first besides my family.
Definitely.
And my social media game just kind of comes last. That's the thing to slip. So I'd rather that slip than, you know, not get back to my clients or not take care of them. So I'm okay with that. Uh, yeah, other than that, I got the keys to the new gym this week, so we'll get started on that. I'll go over there tonight, which is what we'll record on Friday. This will come out Monday. So this weekend, I will have ripped up 8,000 square feet of flooring, and that'll be exciting. And then I'll probably go back next weekend and like put it on a dumpster and go dump it. Um, so that's about it, man. Just working, planning, gearing up for the week. Um, I have some big news coming in probably 2 weeks that I can announce on here. I just can't yet. You already know what it is, but I can't. We're just not going public with it yet. Um, so some exciting things in the pipeline. It's going to be a great year, but yeah, just I guess keeping my head down and going, man.
Yeah, definitely. How much labor do you personally have to put in at the gym before like construction crews can kind of take it over?
Um, Mainly just the floor.
That's good.
Uh, just because like construction's just coming back so expensive, man.
Hmm.
And we just need to cut costs where we can to fit within our budget. If that means I have to be out there all weekend ripping up the flooring,
Yep.
so be it. And I kind of like it. As much as I hate it, I like it because it gives me more pride in the finished product.
I was gonna say the
You
same thing.
know,
Like you literally have your hands in it, doing the
yeah,
work with it,
like
so it makes it feel
OG,
good.
like when we opened that, I took a month off of work.
Mm.
Uh, and to get that open.
Yeah,
And I have a lot of cool stories with that. So it's like I don't want to just pay to have everything done, and
that's
that's
true.
what I still want to do things.
I like that.
So yeah, it's gonna be fun. It'll be a long weekend, but it is what it is. I feel like I had one more thing, and I can't remember what it was.
By the way, man, congrats. That's super exciting. I knew that was coming, but it was cool seeing the post of you guys holding the keys.
Yeah, it's surreal, but it's real now.
Yeah,
Um, it's terrifying and very exciting all at the
yeah.
same. And yeah, so we have nowhere to go but up, no
No,
plan
yeah,
B. So we just got
yeah.
to make sure it works.
Let's
So,
get it. It
but
it
there's
will. It'll do great.
I made that post and we'll get into everything after this. Sorry. And I think the Lee Summit page gained like almost 20 new followers overnight.
Oh, that's sweet.
So we've already had a couple people message us and say they're ready to cancel their membership now at their current
Yeah,
gym. They're ready to sign up. So
yeah,
I think it's gonna be really good, man. I think it's gonna
yeah.
explode out there. So I'm
Well,
excited.
I think that whole area just needs a gym like Body Shop, because
Yeah.
they have the Genesis, like the more corporate big box ones, and they have the smaller boutique ones, which are great as well. But then Body Shop's just more that in between. It's the harder, the better feel for it. Great equipment, bigger size than a boutique, but also not like so small that you can't
Yeah,
really
I
move
I kind of
around.
describe us. I started describing us the other day is it's kind of like my personality has taken the persona of the gym,
Yeah,
and it's like in your face but
yeah,
welcoming.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah, yeah,
what's up? Let's go. Let's get it. But
yeah,
it's like, yeah, man, you're doing good. Keep it up. You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's like it's just
It's
so
very
in your
true.
face, but it's not in your face enough where you feel intimidated.
Yeah, it's like a bodybuilder feel, but then you get in there and it's like most, half the people here are not bodybuilders, and everybody here
Yeah,
is so supportive of each other. And again, I always tell you that, but that's one of my favorite things, and I feel like one of the hardest things to achieve is a great community
yeah.
of people, of members. Um, and really nobody sticks out that's like just a dickhead. Like,
Yeah, and that's what
there's
I want,
nobody like
man.
that.
I,
Yeah.
I didn't I didn't want a gym, Tatiana and I didn't want a gym that was just meatheads only. Now we're gonna attract that, but it's like I don't want to make a living off of just bodybuilders. I like helping
Oh
everybody.
yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And no offense to gyms that do that, there are, and they
Yeah.
crush it. They're great at what they do.
Yeah.
I just think that's not us. You know
No.
what I mean?
No.
And we want it to be more of like a family atmosphere. So
Yeah,
I,
I
I
agree.
love it, man. I think it's been fantastic. Our employees, we hired a new trainer this week. She's fantastic. God, we were really lucky with our employees. So it's
Yeah.
like, except for this one piece of shit who's mad tasty. I don't. He kind of annoys me, but everyone else is really good.
Well, wonderful, man. Congrats on all that stuff. Well, let's get rocking and rolling then. Reverse dieting. Let's start with different times, when when you should be reverse dieting, and kind of diving into that. You want to rock with that for a second?
Yeah. So there's multiple ways we can look at reverse dieting. There's coming out of a show. There is coming off a fat loss phase for like a general nutrition client. And then there's just getting a new client who is under eating, and we would more refer to that as feeding them up. But starting with, I'll just start with coming out of a show. You know, we want to get your calories up right away because you've been tired, you've been underfed, overworked. We need to rest the body. We need to get you feeding. We want to grow. Honestly, as a coach, my last thought is getting you to grow. My first thought is getting you back to baseline and getting you as healthy as possible. Because when we compete, it's not healthy. It's just not natural, enhanced. It doesn't matter. When you take the body to that level of extreme, it's not healthy. So we try to get back to baseline as fast as possible. If you're a natural athlete, I will try to get your body fat levels back to baseline as quick as humanly possible through good food, not shit food.
Mm.
And the reason is just strictly for hormone balance. If you are an enhanced client, I will take things slower and I won't let body fat accrue as often. Now, what happens reverse dieting, we're slowly building your calories up over time, week by week by week. If done right, you can add, I mean, I've added, God, probably a couple thousand calories to people's diets, and they haven't really put
Oh
on
yeah.
much body fat
Yep.
because they've been so strict to the plan.
Yep.
But this really comes down to the coach client relationship, and you have to be honest with them and be like, hey, do you think you can handle this? Because a lot of times a reverse diet is just almost more important than the actual prep diet.
I think it's definitely more important. I think
Yeah.
it's way harder to really nail
Yep.
to me even more than the comp prep itself. Because comp prep, you're stepping on stage, but when you don't have that stage end goal, or you don't have that, that weight goal, whatever it looks like, it's very hard to stay disciplined to
I think
just that.
so. And I'll if I think the client mentally can't handle the post show, I will add minimal calories, like 100 carbs, which is still a lot, but when you're that lean, it's not.
Yeah.
But if I know they can handle it, I'll look at adding more. Or maybe I'll just straight up ask them, what are your plans the next couple of weeks? If I, like I did with you, if I know they're going to have a lot of free meals because they have a lot of obligations, then I'll add minimal calories.
Yep.
So I'll just start low. And then each week I just look and see what the body does. Did you lose weight? Did you drop weight? A lot of times, unfortunately, your best look is usually a week or two after the show because we're adding food back in, you're volumizing, stress is
As you
dropping,
say,
inflammation's
less stress.
dropping.
Yeah.
And man, you just look fucking killer. I know
Yeah.
that was me like 2 weeks post show. I think I was like 225, probably the best I've ever looked. And I was like, damn. But it's like you're not gonna get that, on show day. It's just not.
No.
It's too much stress. You're on a deadline. And basically you just keep adding calories as long as they can handle it until we reach a point to where they can't. This could go on for 8 weeks. This could go on for 6 months to a year. It really just depends on how big your bumps are and how strict the person is. Because I had a client actually this week coming off a show. His weight has been kind of fluctuating like pretty big, like 5-6 pounds at a time. And I'm like, dude, what is going on? And he was having trouble just sticking. He's like, I'm just so hungry, that I just find myself snacking between meals. And my thing was good. You don't realize how important hunger is on a diet. If I can keep you hungry a year post show, 6 months post show, dude, we are in a fantastic spot.
Yeah, metabolism is still rocking.
Yes, because nothing is worse when you're gonna, and this guy is into a year plus off season, and you're not hungry 3 months in. That's
not good.
The worst experience ever because you have a fucking year of just shoveling in meals that you don't want, and it's awful.
Yeah.
So if we can just stick to it, make that hunger be our friend, you're gonna go so much further.
Oh yeah.
I'll let you take the next thing.
Yeah, no. So with myself, obviously not training any competitors, I'm not taking my clients to an extreme level. And neither nor should they be, trying to take it to an extreme level. So we're not taking it to nearly as extreme level. But ultimately, I'm kind of looking at, how long have we been in this dieting phase? How long have we been more disciplined? And then once we get to a point where they are happy with their physique, they're happy with their weight or body or whatever the case is, or maybe they're just tired of cutting. They're tired of being this deficit. They're tired of being more restricted. And so then we have to shape that conversation as, okay, like I personally love reverse dieting. And I think that it's the one part that the average person who does any sort of a cutting phase through their life, just like a yo-yo diet or anybody else, what they're missing is a reverse diet. And that's why they continue to see weight come back. Anybody can stick to a diet for 8 weeks. Anybody can see weight loss if you go, drastic enough, especially. You can all see that, but that's not sustainable, number one, to do long term. And number two, most people don't gradually add food back in. They either try to live at whatever they, if I have to eat 1,000 calories to drop 10 pounds, that same person thinks, well, shit, I just got to stay at 1,000 calories. I can never eat more than this. Otherwise, I'm going to gain weight. Or that person, once they reach their goal, just goes back to what their old habits were. And then they gain that weight super fast. So coming back to the person who eats 1,000 calories to lose their weight and then feels like they have to live there, Well, you might be able to control that for a while, but eventually the holidays are going to hit. Eventually you're going to go on vacation. Eventually you're going to have a really stressful week that causes you to binge eat all week long. And now your metabolism is only used to handling 1,000 calories, and boom, you just threw on 2,000, 3,000 calories of shit food. And now you're like,
No wonder you
okay,
gained a bit.
exactly. The scale just went up super fast, but your metabolism has downregulated to only 1,000 calories a day. And so now you're not going to be able to pull that weight back off. Like
No.
it's staying on. You might pull off a few of those pounds, but if you did that long enough and you fell off for long enough, that weight is there to stay. And that's the same cycle that I feel like a lot of people that I end up seeing have been stuck in that cycle for years. It might even been, a couple decades. If they're 45, they might have been starting this journey at 25 with this exact mindset with it. And so that's a lot of time to reverse. And the hardest part for those clients is that sometimes they're not going to see those results they want to immediately. And the scarier thing for them is when I say, okay, we're going to start gradually increasing food, starting feeding you up. We do usually see, weight drop with that, but it's hard to kind of shape that mindset. Now, in terms of the actual reverse diet itself, I think it's very, very important the conversation we have with the client to make sure they know the ways that this could go wrong and some of the things they're going to experience.
Yeah.
You know, I think I always use myself as an example. My very first show I did, I had a coach for the 5 months I was in comp prep, and then I said no to myself for 5 straight months about don't have this meal, don't have this cheat meal, don't have this extra bite. So I was super disciplined, which was awesome. But as soon as show day hit, actually the couple days before, me and my buddy who's competed with me, we went out and just got all this brownie and cookie mix and just made the most gluttonous like sheet pan of just everything. Like we had cookies on there, we had donuts in there and baked it all. And it was the richest, grossest thing ever. I took like 3 bites of it. And I was like, this is way too much sugar. But that was kind of my mindset though, is that I've been saying no for months. I'm going to say yes to whatever sounds good for the next week after this show. I was only going to give myself a week to say all this. And I didn't, pay the coach to essentially take me in the reverse diet. And even if I had, I wasn't going to listen to it because I wanted to kind of do my own thing. Well, sure shit, I gained 20 pounds in like 7 days.
Yeah.
And I could not get that weight off. I tried to lock back in, but then mentally I'd already flipped the switch of eat whatever sounds good. So even if I was trying to be strict, then I'd be good for a day and then I'd fall off for a day. And so then I completely missed that whole window of reverse dieting property.
Yeah.
And then I still had to reverse diet, but now I had to do it with 20 pounds of fat I didn't want.
Yep.
And so
That's how
that
it
was
goes,
very
man.
hard to see me step off stage looking my best ever. And now I look and feel like shit. And there's nothing I can really do about it other than go back into a comp prep style focus. But now I've got 20 pounds to lose and my metabolism is used to a lot less calories. So it was going to be miserable. So I just sucked it up and reverse dieted through that time. And that was definitely difficult. But I think that's one of the harder parts is when I tell a client, all right, we're going to start gradually eating more, they have this like flip that they kind of switch where it's like, and not everybody, but some of them do. And they're like, okay, well, you said I can eat 10 more grams of carbs this week. What happens if I just make it 20 or 30? Like,
Yeah.
and we're doing it too quick. I'm like, okay, but I
It's
didn't say
triple
to,
the amount I wanted you to eat. That's
yeah,
what it is.
exactly. And that's why we're seeing that scale go up. And that's the downside too, is that I can't add more food. We cannot successfully do this reverse diet, especially with the clients that I'm working with, because they don't need to get back to healthy body fat levels. They're already there at this point.
Yeah.
We're just getting them to try to maintain this. So we don't want to see that scale go up. You just lost 50 pounds. I don't want to see you gain 10 back over the next month or two. Like that is not the goal at all.
Yeah.
And if anything, if we handle this reverse diet properly and you continue to nail things like you did during the cut phase, you're probably going to continue to lose a little bit of weight throughout this time as well.
Yeah.
So you might go from, hey, I lost 50, we start the reverse diet, and you might lose another 10 over the next 2 months if you do it at the rate that we need to.
Yeah, no, I like that. This kind of leads into our next segue is getting somebody and feeding them up right away. And whether that means they're overweight, underweight at a good body fat level. I do it with, I would say 95% of my clients, and they come to you and they're eating, but maybe they're not eating enough. The girls come to you and they're only eating 1,200 calories, 1,000 calories. A bigger guy is only eating 1,800 calories, which, it's just not enough.
Mm.
So what I'll do is I'll set their diet up, and majority of the time, if you set the diet up right, they're going to start losing right away. Now, if they're under eating enough, I have to have that hard conversation and be like, hey, listen, like this is more food than what you're used to, and this is only like 900 calories. You could gain weight this first week, but you have to be prepared for that. But as long as you are sticking to it, like, well, we may gain, we may stay the same, we could lose, but over the next couple of weeks, your body will get more and more used to that food, and then we'll start dropping. So we may have that initial bump and then go down.
Yep.
So as they start losing weight, I'll increase their calories.
Mm.
And they're like, what are you doing?
Mm.
And it's like, well, you're already eating so little that, like, if I just let you keep losing, by the time we get to a point where your body weight is stalling, I'm gonna have no food to take away because you're
Yeah.
not eating. And we're
Yeah.
back in the same, in a worse position than you were before.
Yeah, exactly.
So as long as they're losing weight, I'll continue to bump and bump and bump and bump. And now it may not be a lot, it may just be 10 carbs. People
Yep.
underestimate what 50 grams of rice or a rice cake can do,
Yep.
you know.
And that's
And I'll
usually
just,
my go-to too. If I'm just
yeah,
doing 10 grams of carbs, easiest thing for you to not have to go refigure out your macros in your diet, just add
it's
a
10
rice cake.
grams.
Just add a
At a
rice
rice
cake.
cake. It's so easy. And it's like,
Yep.
I'll just keep bumping those until they're done. And
Mm.
then, maybe over that time, I've built 500 calories into their diet. So they
Yep.
go from 1200 to 1700.
Yep.
And then I have a lot more room to work with that I'm comfortable with.
Yep.
And then before you know it, sometimes you get these girls, dude, I've worked with some girls that have crazy metabolisms.
Easy to eat a lot.
Here,
Yeah.
Emily, my client, Emily Rice,
Yeah. Yeah.
dude, she eats so much.
Yeah.
Like, I
That's
swear to
great.
God, like, if I pulled up her diet, she has multiple, like, I'm pretty sure, I want to say like 300-gram rice meals,
That's
which is
awesome.
like a lot of rice.
Yeah.
The girl I posted last
Yeah,
night,
that's almost 2 cups.
dude, the girl I posted last night, the first time we worked together, she had 400-gram rice meals.
That's
Like,
awesome.
it was nuts.
Yeah.
And it's like you
Two
get
and a
these
half cup
people,
rice.
and
Yeah.
they're just eating so much, and they're losing weight, and they're like, what the fuck is happening? You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
this week, my client, he didn't drop any weight from our initial setup.
Mm.
So I let him go, and he dropped. So I let him go a couple weeks because he was eating an okay amount,
Mm.
and then he stalled. So I added a high day, and he's like, "But I didn't lose weight. Why are you adding food?" And so I explained it to him, and he's like, "Oh, that makes sense."
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just trusting in the process, but
Mm.
just people forget that the bodies aren't machines. We kind of have to coax it into what we're doing,
Yep. Yep.
and we can use food as fuel and like little bits of like turbo, like you're spitting gas into a
Yeah.
turbo, and use that to spike it instead of trying to rely on supplementations or
Yeah.
cardio or things like that. But
Yeah.
then when you're feeding them up properly, you're going to see a barrage of things. They start eating more, their stress is down. They start
Mm.
eating more, they're sleeping
Yep.
better. They have better enjoyment of life. They have better energy levels. All these things kind of go into
Mm.
one, and then you'll slowly see when you compare pictures in like 4 weeks. Not only will you see body fat levels go down, but you're going
Mm.
to see the inflammation in the skin
Yeah.
go down, which
And
is, and,
and
and a lot of times you'll see the skin color even change from the
yeah.
inflammation going
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy.
Well, and another win to it is that they had all those wins and they have a little more food freedom.
Yeah.
They can eat a
Yep.
little bit more food. I always kind of shape it that conversation in two ways, especially like if you have somebody that's kind of like fighting you on increasing food. And again, that comes back to just building that rapport, that relationship with them as well. But ultimately, I ask those people as well as like, okay, in the past, if you didn't lose weight this week, what would you have done? And they'd either stay the same or they would have dropped food, or they would have been like, all right, I'm going to go do more cardio. And so, okay. So based off that fact, and that's what you're saying you want to do right now, has that ever worked for you? Like, why are you with me if that strategy worked? It
Yep.
didn't work, and it didn't work for a reason. We need to try it this approach because this is what's your metabolism has not been fed. Your hormones have
Yeah.
not been fed. Your thyroid has not been like you've not been feeding these major parts of your body essentially, and that's why kind of we're in this position. The second thing I like to shape it as, and I feel like this is how always kind of get some eyeballs lit up, is the average American wants to eat a lot of food for the most part. Like we all, if we just had total free food freedom, we'd all be in heaven essentially.
Yeah.
That sounds like a heaven kind of approach. So I always say, hey, if we got you to your ideal body weight and then you could eat double the amount of food that you're currently eating right now with no fear of gaining weight with it, how awesome does that sound? Like that sounds like a magic pill, but it's not a magic. That's a reverse diet. That's a proper reverse diet. Like you said, you can add 500 calories depending on where you're at calorie wise. You know, especially if I have a guy that's eating 1,800, a guy is going to be able to eat a lot of food, and then some females like that as well. So we might go from 1,800 calories to 4,000 calories, and if we do that gradual enough, they're going to be totally fine. They're not going to gain a bunch of body fat with that. Now, if we went from 18 to 4,000 in a week, yeah, we're going to gain a lot of weight. But
Yeah.
it's just like stoking, a fire in your backyard. If you have a small little flame going, you're not going to just dump this whole, pile of wood on it. You're not going to dump this big ass log on it. You've got to get that fire stoked and get it bigger before you can add in more. And so that's kind of how I look at that metabolism is we got to stoke this fire. We got to add a little bit, add some twig, add some paper, add some cardboard, whatever, to get that fire bigger. And then we can, then it can handle larger pieces of wood or larger amounts of food at a time.
Yeah, because you have to think when you're adding calories, let's say you add 10 grams of carbs, it's 40 calories, but that's 40 calories for 7 days. What is that's like what 280 calories?
Yeah.
So you have to think like that's a 280 calorie bump throughout the week.
Mhm.
So you can either add that every day, split up, or what I like to do is sometimes add a high day.
Yeah.
Where their calories are spiked by maybe 200 to 300, maybe 500, depending on the person.
Yeah.
And the reason I like high days is because it's a solo 1 day spike.
Mm-hmm.
And now you will see fluctuation. You will see you gain like maybe 2-3 pounds
The day after. Yeah.
day after because
Yeah.
of water retention. But
Yeah.
then what happens is the next 2-3 days, it's going to fall off.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be hungrier, and it's going to spike you, and it's going to pull your body fat down. Because by adding those little boosts like that on a high day, it's like revving up your metabolism and turning it up a notch because your body's like, okay, we're going to eat more food now.
Yep.
And then so it's turned up a notch, and the next day it doesn't get as much food, but it's still turned up,
Yep.
ready. So it's
So it
cranking
drops.
harder and burning through that food faster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. I'll kind of toggle back and forth, but depending on the client, depending on the situation, it's a lot of it comes down to, the context of the situation. But like you said, either adding in higher days, or just adding a little bit of food on every single day. So like you said, 10 grams of carbs, because really, if you look at it, and that's the other thing too, is that to you, to somebody, 10 grams of carbs is nothing. But okay, now compound that over the next 8 weeks. If we only added 10 grams of carbs every week, the next 8 weeks, you're going from 100 grams of carbs now to 180. Like you've only almost doubled your carbs in about 2 months' time. And usually we're going to go a little bit quicker than just 10 grams, depending on the person, depending on what they can handle. And same thing with fats as well. And that's one of the other things I want to get up a little bit quicker for hormone levels. And plus, food has, like, there's a lot of food that has fat in it. If you want to have a snack food, it's going to have some fat in it generally. If you're going to go out to eat maybe 2 times this week instead of 1 time a week, even if you make the best choice possible, it's going to have higher fat in it because everything is cooked in oils and butters and stuff like that, unless you ask explicitly for it to not be. So we want to get all that stuff up kind of as quick as we can. So, really, I don't know where we want to go with this kind of conversation next. I would say, how to really mess up a reverse diet, which we've kind of alluded to a little bit.
Yeah, honestly, it's not hard just being an asshole and eating.
Yeah.
I've done it my very, very, very first show. I wasn't even close to in shape. And then I binged hard for 2 weeks, and I went from like 190, still chunky, to like 240.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It comes quick. I feel like
Quick.
Almost every competitor I've ever talked to has had that same exact kind of story with it. And then again, even some of my clients that we didn't do a comp prep, but like I've had a couple people do photo shoots, and so we got leaner. We took it to a little bit, a step further. And I warned them, I'm like, listen, the reverse diet's by far the most important part, because you're going to go from being your leanest, and if you don't do this correctly, then you're going to gain weight back quickly, and that is going to be a total mind fuck. That's not going to feel good, and you're not going to be able to pull that weight off. Or at least not very quickly. Like, we're going to have to still do reverse diet, but you're going to have to do it with a little bit more body fat on you. And that's not fun when you just were looking your best 2 weeks ago. So, I can warn you, we can walk down those different pathways of different ways that we can go with this, but ultimately it's a diet after the diet. And it's just as important as the diet itself, if not more, because this isn't just for 8 weeks or for 16 weeks or whatever. This is setting up the next year of your life if you handle this correctly or if you handle it poorly. So, that's kind of a big thing. And then in terms of like duration or depth of it, I always, again, with my clients, I'm like, I'm not going to force feed you. Like, the average person, the average female especially, I'm not going to have you trying to get to 3,000 calories, 3,500 calories. I want you to get your calories up to a level where we're happy with your body weight, happy with your physique, happy with your energy levels and all that good stuff, and you have food freedom. So you're still going to stick to pretty regimented routines and eating habits, but now you have a little bit more freedom. So now if you dropped a couple meals because you can go out to eat a couple times a week, it's not going to be the same kind of detriment as if you were just used to only 1,200 calories.
Yeah,
Because now we have more wiggle room. So if you go over by 100 or 200 calories at the higher end, it's not as big of a deal than if you went over by 1,000 calories.
100%. In the end, if you want more food freedom, you need to be able to handle more calories on a daily basis,
Yep.
which comes down to following the diet, building the calories up, and that gives you more food freedom. Because
Yeah.
like the thing is, like once you get your food so high, if I have someone update me and their food's crazy high and they're like, oh, I just rough week, I fell off, I had this meal, this meal, this meal, I just didn't prepare properly. Sometimes they'll even lose weight because they're even with the cheats, they're not getting enough calories in,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So yeah, just don't be an asshole.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. The application and the execution is difficult, but yeah, just don't be an asshole and you'll be all right. And then obviously just communicating and being honest. You know, if you have a coach during that process, is hey, I screw like I've had those times with you. That's one of the reasons why I felt like I needed a coach in the office, just because I'm like I'm not as accountable if I'm just doing this by myself. If I have somebody
Yeah,
say at the end of the week, yo man, I ate out 4 or 5 times this week, I don't necessarily feel good about that check-in. And so I'm going to try to make adjustments the following week. But if I'm
yeah,
just waking up on a Monday morning and going to work and not having that check-in with you, then it's easier to allow that to continue to snowball
yeah.
into more weeks like that.
Nope, I agree, man. I agree.
Definitely,
So
definitely. Well, I'm
good, man.
excited. I'm excited to record next week with
Yeah, I'm pumped.
Protein Bros. Yeah, that'll be super exciting. Hopefully, you guys got some good value out of this. Again, I feel like a reverse diet is one of the most important things that everybody is missing.
I think so.
Yeah. So if you get that nailed down, you'll be all right.
Well, if you
Yeah.
guys need help with your reverse diets or just helping not be an asshole, and
Yeah.
eat better, just get a hold of one of us and we'll be happy to help you. Marcus is at Thriving Lives Fitness on Instagram. I am at Blankslate Fitness _91. Find us, let us know, ask us questions, and we'll help you out.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
All right, people, let's have a good week.
All right, man. You have a good day. Yeah. Everybody else have a
Yeah,
great week.
crush this shit. All right, man. Talk to you
All
later.
right. See you, bro.